Have you ever felt deeply moved by the sight of ripples on a calm, quiet lake? Or flocks of birds making patterns in the sky at sunset? When I wake up early enough to see the sunrise, observing its movement, greeting the day at the same time nature does, I find myself joined in this welcome by birds, insects, and other creatures. In these moments, I become vibrantly aware that I'm here, at this very moment, looking at the star we call Sun, 93 million miles away. And half of this world is experiencing this very same sun along with me, while the other half is in darkness. It's one of those moments in life when trying to describe it that I'm reminded of how limited language can be. There's no English word nor a German one which would capture the depth and essence of what I'm feeling then. This is what the Japanese call Yūgen, a word that has no translation in English, but it's a feeling we have all felt at some point in our lives. Yūgen is not at all presentable to our sense intellect as this or that, but that doesn't mean that it's beyond the reach of human experience. It is in fact experienced by us, something we feel within ourselves. It is hidden behind the clouds, but not entirely out of sight, for we feel its presence, its secret message being transmitted through the darkness, however impenetrable to the intellect. It's an important concept in traditional Japanese aesthetics, and can be loosely summed up as an awareness of the universe that triggers emotional responses too deep and powerful for words. Some call it mysterious grace, subtle profanity, and the beauty of the unseen. Monika, a Japanese aesthetician from the 14th and 15th centuries, uses the following examples to describe Yūgen. To watch the sun sink behind a flower-clad hill, to wander on a huge forest without thought of return, to stand upon the shore and gaze after a boat that disappears behind distant islands, to contemplate the flight of wild geese seen and lost among the clouds. It doesn't describe beauty itself, but it describes the feeling that you have when you see something beautiful or hear something profound. Explains Nick Ishimaru, artistic director of theater of Yūgen. It's felt with the heart, not seen with the eyes. It's said to have come from Chinese philosophy, in which it meant dim, deep, or mysterious. Another characterization highlights the importance of the imagination. When looking at autumn mountains through mist, the view may be indistinct, yet have great depth. Although few autumn leaves may be visible through the mist, the view is alluring. The limitless vista created in imagination far surpasses anything one can see more clearly. These definitions and examples are poetic, romantic, atmospheric, and make you feel just how small you are in the grand scheme of things. It's a feeling of awe that can be overwhelming, but it can also be cathartic. In a report in Psychological Science, Ariana Aragon says crying with happiness, or at something beautiful and profound, may be the body's way of rebalancing and helping us to come to terms with emotion. People may be restoring emotional equilibrium with these expressions, she says. They seem to take place when people are overwhelmed with strong positive emotions, and people who do this seem to recover better from those strong emotions. From Japanese cuisine staples and tea, through anime and manga, to various Zen practices and philosophy, Japanese culture is fascinating and multifaceted, rooted deeply in millennial traditions, and at the same time pushing boundaries with the new technological development. Japanese aesthetic ideals, while seen as a philosophy in Western societies, are seen as an integral part of daily life in Japan, and are most heavily influenced by Japanese Buddhism. In the Buddhist tradition, all things are considered as either evolving from or dissolving into nothingness. This nothingness is not empty space. It is rather a space of potentiality. In other words, if the seas represent potential, then each thing is like a wave arising from it and returning to it. There are no permanent waves. There are no perfect waves. And at no given point is a wave complete, even at its peak. Nature is seen as a dynamic whole that is to be admired and appreciated. This appreciation of nature has been fundamental to many Japanese aesthetic ideals, arts, and other cultural elements that include wabi, transient and stark beauty, zabi, the beauty of natural aging, and Yūgen. These ideals and others underpin much of Japanese cultural and aesthetic norms. Wabi and zabi refers to a mindful approach to everyday life. Over time, their meanings overlapped and converged until they are unified into wabi-sabi. The aesthetic, defined as the beauty of things, imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. Things in bud or things in decay, as it were, are more evocative of wabi-sabi than things in full bloom because they suggest the transience of things. As things come and go, they show signs of their coming or going, and these signs are considered to be beautiful. In this, beauty is an altered state of consciousness and can be seen in the mundane and simple. The signatures of nature can be so subtle that it takes a quiet mind and a cultivated eye to discern them. Zen philosophy outlines 7 principles that are central to Japanese aesthetics. Kanso, things are expressed in a plain, simple, natural manner. Fukinsei, controlling balance in a composition through irregularity and asymmetry. Shibui, beautiful by being understated, or by being precisely what it was meant to be and not elaborated upon. Seijaku, tranquility or an energized calm, stillness, or solitude. Datsuzoku, freedom from habit, unbound by convention. Shizen, naturalness, an absence of pretense or artificiality, full and forced creative intent. Each of these things are found in nature, but can suggest virtues of human character and appropriateness of behavior. This in turn suggests that virtue can be instilled through an appreciation of and practice in the arts. Hence, aesthetic ideals have an ethical connotation and pervade much of the Japanese culture. While Yūgen experiences may connect us with the infinite, they are experiences of everyday life which serve as a connection to something higher. So here are 3 ways how you can incorporate Yūgen into your daily life, finding inspiration, stimulation, and equilibrium along the way. 1. Go outside. Zeami's examples of scenes which evoke Yūgen are all outside for a reason. Being in nature, whatever that may mean for us today who are so used to being inside and away from it, can return us somewhere sacred. Nature has a power to calm and inspire us. Think of looking at the moon. It's something that can be experienced by everyone all over the world. It's both ancient and still present. In the words of Night Vale, and if you're ever feeling lonely, just look at the moon. Someone, somewhere is looking at it too. Walking through a forest or using your lunch break for a stroll in a local park can be a profoundly spiritual experience, if you let it. Try to notice what's around you and how everything moves. Now, as summer is turning to autumn, is a particularly great time to notice and revel in our place in the world. 2. Switch off. As long as you spend your days glued to your phone, you won't be able to notice the subtle profundity of things. There's a meditative power in letting go and getting lost in scenery. Allow yourself to appreciate a beautiful view, a soaring piece of music, or a painting, and the feeling of Yūgen it provokes. 3. Embrace your artistic side. Artistic expression and its ability to cut to the core of the human condition, communicating the heart of its message across cultures and eras, qualifies it as sacred in my humble opinion. Sesu Toyu is one of the most revered Japanese masters of painting, poetry, and calligraphy. In his painting called The Splashed Ink Landscape, he created a work that is as much about the empty space and the body movements used to create it as it is about the detail on the page. Notice the feeling of your body as you draw, the shapes, colors, and the movements of your brush. That is Yūgen. Coming back to beginnings and endings, sun rising and sun setting. Sitting quietly as the day softens into evening, watching the constant change of light and shadow, the sometimes startling, stunning display and array of colors. Seeing them reflect and transform the world as the sun drops below the horizon. Waking with the sunrise and taking the time to honor the sunset is a habit that, once formed, can be a spiritual touchstone throughout your life. No matter where you are or what you may be experiencing in your life at the time, you can always count on the sunrise and sunset to be your faithful companions, and a reminder that you are a part of something much bigger than yourself. We may never be able to adequately explain Yūgen when we experience it. However, we will always know it when we feel it and experience it, and for now, that is enough. If you found value and enjoyed watching, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos.